Today we're talking EDC and my new favorite EDC belt, the Hunter Constantine belt. Before we get into that, I do have to explain, this is like my third time filming this video. The first time I did it, the audio was messed up, so I couldn't use it. And then the second time I filmed it, I just didn't like it. So I'm refilming it again. Hunter, sorry this is taking so long. But without further ado, let's talk EDC and my new favorite belt. So before we dive into the belt and what I like about it and why it's my new favorite EDC belt, I'll give you guys a quick update on my EDC. It hasn't changed much. You know, the basis of it is pretty much the same. I'm not some like super secret squirrel. I'm just an average dude, right? So this is what I carry. Obviously, wallet with important stuff in there and cash to get you out of, you know, crazy situations. Keys, obviously, and then a Noveski keychain. So there's that. I always carry a pocket knife because you never know, you know, when you need it to open boxes and do crazy things. But yeah, I typically always keep a knife on me. I did have the Benchmade bug out, and I switched from that to the mini Griptilian. One, because I just like the way the Griptilian looks. I like the feel of it, but mainly because of the weight. The bug out is such a good knife. It's just a great all-around knife, but it's so light that I would oftentimes forget that I had it in my pocket. So I'm going to a sporting arena, you know, and they're like, hey, you can't take this in here. I got to run back to the car or whatever. Or oftentimes it would get washed or, you know, whatever. So I never forget this is in my pocket, and I just like the weight of it better. Plus, love the purple accents with the green. Looks fantastic. Love it. So yeah, so that's my EDC knife. A couple other things I normally keep with me is a deck of cards because, you know, you never know when you're going to get bored. And a lot of inspiration, a lot of games can come from a solid deck of cards along with some card tricks. So deck of cards, what am I trying to say?
What do you mean? What do you mean by shaking it? What are you doing? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
AirPods. That's what I'm trying to say. Apple AirPods. I typically always keep AirPods with me to take phone calls because my truck is super loud. And then, you know, when I'm working, editing, whatnot, I throw these in. And sometimes just to spy on people, right? Sometimes you can leave one out somewhere if you know, and you can listen. Other times, I just don't want to be bothered. So I throw these in. I'm like, oh, I can't hear you. This, we'll talk about that at a later date. And then the gun that I'm carrying. So it is the Ferrari 2011 in the QVO tactical holster. So I run QVO tactical holsters. I do have a coupon code. It's linked down below. I don't make anything off of it, but it helps you guys out, and it supports Roger, who also has a great channel, but who's just a great supporter of the 2A community. Really appreciate Roger and the product he puts out. I've been using this holster for like a year now. Year and a half? I don't know. Now, I did say, if you remember a while back, I said I was getting rid of my 2011s. I did try out Taylor's M&P 2.0. He let me try that out, and I really liked it. Honestly, in like full transparency, I think that is the best polymer gun on the market straight out of the box. I know some guys say that like, oh yeah, you got to get it and then immediately replace it with the Apex trigger, which sure, that's probably true. But even with the factory trigger, it's still a really good trigger. And I would say still even better than the Glock, even the Gen 5s, and even their new comp trigger, which I hate the new comp trigger. But anyways, I think out of the box, as far as polymer guns go, the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 is probably the best gun you're going to get. And largely because Smith & Wesson have listened to the audience as far as giving them what they want and grip texture, giving them the serrations, giving them the optic cuts, improving triggers, now offering the ported versions, but also the metal frames. So they're doing everything that Glock didn't do, and they're giving the consumers what they want in a very good package. And some people appreciate the ergonomics of the Smith & Wesson over the Glock. Some people like the Glock because of that, they like that blocky feel. It's just what they're used to, whatever. It's all personal preference. But in my opinion, after shooting both, I think that is the best one, the best way to go if you were going to go striker fired with a full-size or compact gun. If you're getting into the micro guns, that's a whole nother conversation. Not to say that Glocks or other things aren't good guns. My brother has one. They still shoot great, but it's all just preference, right? As great as the M&P is, it just wasn't the gun for me. And not because it shot bad. It shot great. I just personally, I don't know. I have a thing for hammer-fired guns. I don't know what it is. And honestly, it's not even like a 2011 or staccato thing. While I do love 2011s, the gun that I wanted to get into before 2011s was actually the Shadow 2. I wanted to EDC a Shadow 2 or an SPO1, but I couldn't find people that made holsters that I could EDC them with a light. And then trying to find a duty holster was even harder. So I was just like, it's just not worth the effort because the aftermarket support wasn't there. That's one of the great things about Glock, about Smith & Wesson, about the 2011s is there's a ton of aftermarket support now. And if you're going to have an EDC gun and there's no aftermarket support in trying to find replacement parts, trying to, get holsters, lights, whatever it is, it creates issues. That's kind of why I haven't jumped on board with like CZ yet, or even like the Berettas. The Berettas are still kind of hard. It's getting better now that they've become more popular. But I've shot those, I've shot the HKs, and I was like, you know what? There's really no point in me investing in a whole nother platform, like a whole nother brand, buying all the mags, buying all the holsters, spending time getting used to the guns when I know I have these 2 guns being sent off to Vulcan Machine Works. And so one of them is at Vulcan Machine Works right now, getting the grip put on and some other things. And we'll do a whole video on that because I think when it comes out, it'll be really cool. Maybe it'll be, anyways, we'll talk about that when that happens. But waiting on that gun, and then when that gun comes back, this 2011 will go back and get their new grip module. So it's a whole lot, but it just, for me, didn't make sense that, like, I've already got all the mags, I've already got all the holsters, I've already got 2 of these, right? So, like, why not just stick with what I have? You know, the Vulcan grip should fix the issue that I was having in the past, so it should all be good from here. So we'll see how it goes, but if I change my mind and I decide to go polymer, it will probably be the Smith & Wesson. If I stick metal frame and want to go hammer fired, it'll probably be the CZ, and I'll have to beg Roger to make me a CZ holster for it, so who knows? And then maybe somebody will come out with something else, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But that's not why you're here. You're here to talk about the Hunter Constantine EDC belt. So for those of you who don't know who Hunter is a USPSA Grandmaster. And I forgot which division he's in. I'll probably put it right here or something. Anyways, he's also an instructor. He's also a YouTuber. I'll link his channel up here. Just an all-around good dude. And when I was shooting pistol a lot, I would call him after matches or like after training and be like, hey man, would you mind, give me some tips and this and that. And he's like so genuine and down to earth and wants to help people. And he's just a fun dude to be around. He's hilarious. Also does some overlanding. So go check out his YouTube channel. If you're not already following him, go follow him on Instagram. Check out his website. He's doing some training on his own, but also I think mainly with Rogue Methods. So check him out. But he has started making his own EDC belts. And this comes after years of, his development as a shooter at the GM level, but also just carrying every day, taking feedback from other shooters and figuring out where this gap was in the market in terms of EDC belts. Now, if you remember, I was using the Core Essentials belt with their ratchet system, and I did like this belt. I mean, it's a great belt. I've been wearing it. I've been using it. You can see on here how it's all worn and beaten up, and then it's got like this weird bend in it from where my gun always sits. It was a good belt, but there was a few issues with it. And one was that there is no give to the belt in terms of like when you have it ratcheted down to hold the gun. It does hold the gun well, but then it creates hot spots, especially like on your hips. So for those of you who know, like if your hip bones stick out and you have a lot of weight on this belt, it starts to dig into them. Sitting in cars was not incredibly comfortable, so you'd have to like pop the ratchet, loosen it, and then as soon as you got out, you fix that, and then retighten it and all that. And then occasionally, because it was happening so often, there was so much pressure, it was actually pulling the ratchet apart, and the little clicks were no longer working. So it was just one of those things where over time, over like the years, I started to find its shortcomings. And that is where Hunter's belt comes in. So one of the great things is that he's split the belt up into these 2 parts. So you have this padded, supported area of the belt that holds the weight of the gun. It's where your holster sits. So we'll throw this on there so you guys can see. But this is the part that holds the gun. And as you can see, like that part holds the gun perfectly fine. There's no issues there. It's not wanting to flop over or backwards. Like if I do that, it will do it, but it doesn't, it holds the gun, it supports the weight really well. And then on the other half of the belt, it's elastic. And this is where it improves upon most of the other belts because you have the strength and rigidity here to hold the gun. And then back here, it has elasticity to give you a better fit. So you can tighten this down here. You can cinch this down to make it as tight or as loose as you want, but it eliminates the hot spots because it's not a rigid belt all the way around. It's not digging into your hip bones. And the other thing is when you sit down, so like when you sit down when you're carrying a full-size gun, if you sit like this, it's super uncomfortable, right? Especially with this piece right here digging into you. But this elasticity allows the belt to roll, or allows the gun to roll forward as you're sitting and moving. So if you're sitting in a car, you have to worry about loosening it and then retightening it. So it makes it way, way more comfortable. And additionally, because it has that elasticity, and because it doesn't, isn't rigid all the way around, it doesn't require you to have belt loops to wear this belt. So I can actually wear this with like beach shorts or whatever. I don't have to wear pants or looped shorts all the time. I can just wear whatever I want, stick that in there. And then the way that it attaches It's just the little hook in there and it goes. So this is actually an improved version. He doubled up on the stitching here on this part, and I think on the newer version, the stitching has been improved even more. The other thing he's changed is this slider here, which makes it a little bit more secure, because I've only had to adjust the elasticity like once or maybe twice. He says with the new one, you won't have to do it at all. Once it's set, you should be good to go. And I've been using this belt for 6 months now. So I got it at the beginning of the year, right before SHOT Show, right before we made the trip to Arizona and then to SHOT Show. And I wore this the entire road trip with my 2011, wore it all in Arizona, wore it all day at SHOT Show, walking around. I've been wearing it every day since, and this belt has been phenomenal. And you can see where it's like, it's worn on there, and you can see the wear patterns. That there is a little dip right here where it digs into the when I do wear pants with belt loops, and just the weight of it kind of pulls it there and it'll shrink down. Hunter said this has been improved as well, so the newer belts won't do that. It's a minor, like more of a cosmetic thing than anything. It doesn't affect how the belt fits. It doesn't affect how you wear it. The stitching on it has been solid. I think if you had one of like the very early, like very, very first ones that you could like only pre-order, I think there was a couple guys who had a weird stitching issue, and he like immediately just replaced them. He was like, oh, don't worry about it. We knew it was an issue. As soon as guys gave feedback, we replaced it. So Hunter's really good about taking care of the customers and listening to the feedback you guys have. I've told him about the issues I had, and he's been very open, saying, oh yeah, that's cool. He's like, send me pictures of this, send me pictures of that. All of my buddies are wearing them. They've had no issues with them. I've had no issues, like as far as how the belt actually wears and carrying the gun goes. I've had no issues with that. So I think overall, it's probably the best EDC belt on the market. If you prefer like a fully rigid belt, if that's just you, if that's you rock with, go for it. The Core Essentials is a great option. There's a couple other options out there. I find that most belts are either way too rigid for EDC or they're way too soft, meaning that they don't have this piece in here that Hunter has put. So it's an ingenious design. It's kind of funny. It's one of those things, is like, why didn't we think of this sooner? But Hunter's done a great job with it, and he's continuing to improve upon it as new generations come out. Anybody who gives him feedback, he's like, is that something we can tweak? Is it something we can change? And it's getting better. Now, full transparency, Hunter is my friend, and he did also send me this belt, so take it all with a grain of salt. But I would highly recommend it, and I think I might have a code that might save you guys some money. I don't make anything off of it, but I'll leave that here. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But that's my EDC. Now, there is one other thing, like, because I know there's going to be those guys in the comments who are like, there's no way you EDC a staccato, a full-size gun with a light, and this and that. Like, I can barely EDC, like, a Glock 19 or, whatever. Like, cool, whatever, bro. I don't care. This is my EDC gun. This is what I carry. And the reason I carry that gun, is it convenient? No, absolutely not. Are there better guns to carry? 100%. That they would be much easier to conceal, especially for me. With that said, bro, I'm all of 150 pounds. No matter what gun I carry, it's going to print. Unless I've got like a pocket snub-nose revolver, everything I've got is going to print. If I throw a medical kit in my pocket, it's going to print. You're going to see that bulge. Even with my wallet, you can see it in my pocket. So there's nothing that I'm going to carry that isn't going to be visible, right? Just because of the size. But with that being said, if you're serious about EDC and you're serious about wanting to carry and protect yourself and your loved ones and those around you, there's certain sacrifices you have to make. Comfort may be one of those, right? Is this the most comfortable gun to carry? No, it's not. But it's the gun that I'm most confident with to shoot, that should something happen, I need to take a shot, I can do that. So what I do is I dress for what I carry. So when I'm carrying this gun at Appendix, I typically wear larger oversized shirts. And I can get away with that because it's kind of the style, like street fashion. If you dress the right way, you can cover it up and mask it, and people don't think twice about it. Can you still see it? Yeah, a little bit, but there's ways you can break it up. And just like I wear screen print shirts, right, that have designs on them or whatever. And it works just like camouflage. Just like you guys argue about what camo is better and what color is better, you can wear screen print shirts and it does the same thing. It breaks up the shape so that people don't recognize it and it doesn't draw attention to it. I carry this gun at church. I carry it when we go out to dinner. I carry it when we go out to go have drinks. Wherever we go, I take that with me. And so when I know I'm going to need to carry, I dress accordingly. And the other way that I can mask it is wearing a button-up shirt, right? Just have a button-up shirt. Doesn't have any button. I leave it unbuttoned so that way it kind of catches the wind a little bit, but it breaks up the shape. It's all the same thing. And if you say, well, that's dumb, you shouldn't have to do that. Okay, well then don't wear camo in the woods, bro. Like, I don't care. Wear whatever you want to wear. But for me, to make this a reality, to be able to carry this gun, that's what I have to do. And I would much rather do that, wear that clothes, dress in street fashion that blends in with my surroundings, just like you would with camouflage, so that I can feel comfortable and feel like I can take care of my family should something happen, versus carrying a gun that I don't train with, a gun that I'm not comfortable with, or something that I'm just not confident with. So that's my 2 cents. You do you, boo-boo. I don't care. But if you're looking for a good belt, no matter what gun you're carrying, check out the Hunter belt. Hunter, I love you, buddy. You're awesome. But yeah, check out Hunter as well. He's got some great reviews coming out, some entertaining stuff, and check him out for a class, because he's kind of an okay shooter, I've heard, allegedly. Rumor has it. But that's all I got for you guys. Make sure that like and subscribe. Karate chop that bell so you get notified every time I upload a video, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Round and around, round and around, round. What do you think, guys? If you spin backwards, that's a disaster.
Okay. Well, how do I phrase this? Let's try that again, because Jimmy did not mute his computer like he should. He's an idiot. Tag firearms. It'll all make sense down the road.